How's it going, everyone? Session here. Welcome to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre patch notes for September 26th, aka tomorrow, Tuesday. Today's Monday the 25th, and so today we have the following patch notes for the game that's going to be scheduling out for console and for PC players, roughly around 2 p.m. Eastern US time. So, checking at the patch notes, it looks like we have some fixes. So they fixed the Hitchhiker's Trap exploit, which I never actually encountered, but I did hear about it through other folks who've been playing the game pretty often, where the Hitchhiker players could use a trap to pass through walls and doors, which weirdly enough allowed it like to really, because if you like latch a door, then ultimately you can use a trap to go through the door and then just not even worry about it. And it was a really crazy thing that I didn't even know that you could do. I've only heard about the encounters for it though, so like thank goodness that got fixed. They also fixed the trap interaction issues, where victims will be unable to interact with gaps, crawl spaces, and other elements after stepping inside of a trap, which also became kind of a huge pain because in some case scenarios, the hitchhiker was honestly like one of the best killers in the game just because of how the trap could be placed. It was almost impossible to interact with the trap or even the element in front of it. So, for example, if I wanted to take out the car battery and there was a trap in front of the car battery, I couldn't interact with the battery or the trap. Or I would even have to interact with the battery on purpose to trigger the trap, and it was impossible to actually remove the trap quietly in order to successfully, stay under the radar from the hitchhiker. So thankfully they fixed some of those things as well. So we will see less of that more often, which would be great. They also fixed Johnny and Sissy's lunge. So they both had a lunge that was greater than the other family members. So they adjusted to be more in line with the rest of the family. This should also correct Johnny's build that we're seeing in public matches. So there was something ongoing that people learned that ultimately, despite Leatherface being the strongest offensive killer, right? Because he has a chainsaw literally. Johnny was able to also essentially just forcibly trap people with his attack because he kind of stuck to the victims like glue once he started to effectively get the swing on people once in a while. So, and also he, in a weird shape and form, could two shot and three hit KO people that were just trying to run away from him too. So Johnny, granted that he does have high strength and high endurance compared to the other family, and also to kind of rival that of Leatherface, he is supposed to be a little bit on the slightly weaker and slower side compared to Leatherface. So it looks like that they also fixed it because there was also a perk build ongoing where you were like he almost had the ability to almost one shot KO people, and also had like extremely high endurance compared to Leatherface. So fixing that also is actually pretty cool. They fixed a brightness cheat that would allow PC users to adjust their in-game brightness outside of accepted levels by editing the game files. So that was also a really huge issue because the family is not supposed to be able to really see the victims when they're hiding in the dark. And so this is something that I also encountered myself, not because I have my brightness high or low, I have it normal, but I have been seen in the dark, which in a simple manner, because there's no way to track me, it should be impossible. But because you can literally see me because of the brightness that they're talking about, they fix that also, which is great. So they also changed the hitchhiker's traps at ladder exits. So at the top of the ladder where the hitchhiker can place a trap, they allowed it to provide an opportunity for the victims to counter the trap, because hitchhikers normally, when there's a ladder anywhere in any of the maps, you put a trap there, and then once you find out that there is the victims escaping somehow, then they will just simply camp the ladder and the trap, and it was a free kill, and it was a really unfair advantage for the hitchhiker to play. And so now that they fixed that, what I'm assuming is they basically allowed a certain radius of where the hitchhiker can place a trap. So now it's not going to be directly on top of the location for where the victim lands on when they actually climb the ladder in top and full. So now the victims will be able to disarm the trap before they actually are attacked by the trap or even the hitchhiker that gets them snared in one as well. So that's really cool. So it's still a very powerful tool, and it's definitely still really heavily useful to like put a trap near the ladder, but putting it right on top of where it is obviously like out of the question. So thankfully they fixed that. Fuse box reset. So the family can now turn the fuse box off after a victim turns it on. There is a cooldown applied to the switch, similar to generators and car batteries. So there is a time frame now where the the fuse box is able to turn back off after the victim tries turning it on. So now it's actually a good play that if you see that it's on, now the victim has to be quick or be quiet about it, because if the family finds out that the trap or the fuse box is on, then turning it off, there's no real limitation or issue for them not to do it. So now the family has much more reasons to turn off the fuse box if they even see that it's on, which is really cool. This also makes the fuse box a little bit less powerful in comparison to the other exit gates, because there is certain scenarios, I believe it's in the slaughterhouse map, where you can literally escape in a minute and 30 seconds if you speed run it on the victim side using the fuse box exit, because there's a really simple way to go about it. This should make it a little bit more tricky for the victims to escape that way, but also create more possibilities for them to use other methods of escape too. So I really appreciate that change as well. The family stun immunity has now been changed. So now family now has a 10-second stun immunity period after an initial stun ends. So that's actually really nice, because you were able to essentially infinitely keep a family member stunned. And I think there was a exploit that I did witness offline one day, where if you had Leland, Sunny, and I want to say Anna, the three of them can literally a power through to get a bone scrap, and then they can actually attack the stun and sneak attack on the family. And because it's a 4 versus 3 scenario, the three of them can continuously cycle bone scraps on the same member of the family over and over and over again, and it was impossible for the family to escape for at least like 30 to 40 seconds. That's why they had to nerf it with the bone scrap and then reduce the amount you can acquire from there, but also now with the immunity in mind, now you actually have to like just use it as a sneak attack mode versus using it aggressively. So they are making it much more stronger for the family side of things, because that way you don't aggressively deal with the family, because this game has the heaviest emphasis about that. You're not supposed to deal with the family. You're not supposed to. Getting caught by the family should be a very crucial moment that you have to be very careful about. And, I appreciate Gun Media for making sure that there's still respect in their name for that situation. So that's really cool. There's also no stun immunity if after a family member is stunned by a victim bursting out of a hiding place. So you can be stunned by the closet or any hiding spot and then be hit with a sneak attack right afterwards. That'll still count, which is fine. I think that's not really too much of an issue. If you attempt to stun a family member who has immunity, you will not see the prompt for Leland's ability or a backstab. So this is how you know that they have immunity, at least. So it does give you the idea of like, hey, this person got stunned already. Like, just don't stick around, because they're going to come after you basically if you try to do something. So I appreciate them also basically giving the idea to the victim side that there is already a stun that's been put into place for the family. That way they're able to just continuously, keep on moving about and not have to necessarily like deal with the family like as an aggressive side of things. And then if you attempt to stun a family member who has immunity with a door slam, it will have no effect. This is actually a big one, because it's very important that you actually avoid using, again, to avoid any kind of aggressive confrontation, family versus victim. It's really easy to just create a scenario where if you try to like mess with the doors, then you can kind of wiggle into one door, wiggle through another one, and then if you don't stun the family, then you can stun them with the bone scrap, and then just literally set the door up and then charge to the door and then stun them. And because there's perks and everything that has that too, you can literally keep them down for at least about like 30 seconds. So them having this now come into effect is also really nice. So I really appreciate that. Close encounters all vary in duration due to the individual family member having different recovery stun times. Therefore, the immunity period is different for each person, which is cool. So now they've tuned Taekwondo door perks and they've reduced it. So I think they cut the time in half for all 3 levels. I think it was like 15 or 16 seconds. Now it's 8. And this one too, I think it was either like 15 or 12. Now it's 6. And then this was 10 for sure. Now it's 5. Agitator perk now also, the family bond reduction has been decreased. So this was involving the grandpa. So ultimately you're able to, if you get the bone scrap hit on the grandpa, then you're basically able to reduce the level of the grandpa's power by a significant amount. And essentially if you have a person spamming it, then you can really bring the grandpa from like 4 to 1. It was really easy actually. This should tune it up a little bit, make it a little bit less aggressive again. You know, it's all about the aggression that the victims are having on the family team. But you are still able to get a really good advantage out of it if you are able to sneak in and get the hit in, you know. So I appreciate them tuning these perks down too, because these are very good strength perks that are now going to see a little bit less power. And then they also tune the stealth performance in minigames. So the amount of noise generated in gathering minigames when it is at full stealth. So most likely what this means is that you essentially they increase the amount of noise that's generated when you're trying to gather items at full stealth. So chances are, uh, you're probably not going to be able to fully just mash away. Because like, who is it? It's Julie and Connie, I think, are the two characters, right? They have the ability to almost get near max stealth or max stealth, and the bar doesn't go up. And so the adjustment for this is probably going to be a little bit more on the rise when you're trying to do mini games such as gathering bone scraps or gathering the unlock tools, right? The meter will go up, but it shouldn't still go to full. So it should be still like in the sense of it all, like not possible to max out that gauge unless you have really bad proficiency. So if you have low proficiency and high stealth, then you should technically be able to still trigger the noise generator. But if you have high proficiency and high stealth, then it shouldn't be a problem. So I think this is only applied for Julie, pretty much. I believe so. So we'll see. And then Leland's ability stun duration. So they adjusted the stun duration upgrades for his lifesaver ability, which makes sense though, because the stun is pretty strong for him. And again, this is to tune down the aggression that a lot of victims are playing this game within as well. So we'll see. And so please stay tuned for any official channels and news updates on the patch. And as mentioned previously, they're going to start shifting away from weekly patching, and the next patch is going to be a little bit less rigid in their scheduling and timing. So they'll have a new page when it comes out. And so, we'll kind of see some spacing between them doing updates and whatnot. So obviously what they're doing this because the game is getting in a better position with time, which is very good, because the player base is kind of playing the game. A lot of players are playing this game very aggressively. And so I think they've done what's necessary to kind of force them to play a little bit less aggressive. Because again, it is a asymmetrical stealth horror game for the most part on the victim's side, and for the family side, it is a matter of playing hide and seek. So thankfully, they have been able to figure out a appropriate fix for this, and so we should be good to go in terms of learning about everything that is to come with the game. So it's good. I'm really excited. This patch is coming out tomorrow. It'll be very fun, and we'll definitely get our hands on it for sure. I'm really hyped to play this game. I love this game so much. It's so good, dude. I just think that this is like one of the best asymmetrical horror games that I've ever played, and again, we're getting patch notes and updates and changes and fixes and all this fun stuff, and we haven't even had DLC yet. They're still on the horizon of having the new family and victim coming out, as well as a potential new map and new perks and all that other fun stuff to come as well. So we'll find out. But thank you all for watching. Appreciate it, and have yourself a fantastic day, and look forward to the amazingness that is this game. See you around.